Seattle, Washington, Monday, 7:47 a.m. The Emerald Brew smelled like freshly roasted beans and morning temptation when Maeve Quinn saw the most arrogant man she'd ever encountered walk through the door. Not that she knew that yet. All Maeve saw initially was a suit that probably cost more than 6 months of her rent, broad shoulders that filled the oak doorway, and a jawline so sharp it could cut diamonds. Dark auburn hair swept back with calculated precision. Ice blue eyes that scanned the cafe like he was evaluating a business acquisition. "Double espresso to go now," he said without looking up from his phone. "No, please." No eye contact. Maeve felt her eyebrow arch on its own. She had a special talent for handling difficult customers. 3 years serving coffee to Seattle's tech elite had taught her patience. But something about this man flipped her sarcasm switch instantly. "Good morning to you too," she said, sweet as antifreeze. "Beautiful day, isn't it? Almost as beautiful as basic courtesy." Finally, those ice blue eyes lifted. For a heartbeat, something that might have been surprise flickered across that annoyingly perfect face. "Excuse me?" His voice was granite, deep, rough-edged, the kind that probably made boardrooms go silent. "You're excused," Maeve responded cheerfully, already pulling the espresso shot with practiced ease. "That'll be $4.70. And maybe consider upgrading to the manners package. First one's free." His mouth twitched. Not quite a smile, but close. "Do you have any idea who I am? Should I care? Most people do." "Congratulations on your fame," Maeve said, sliding the cup across the marble counter. "Will that be all, Mr. Humble?" This time he definitely almost smiled. But then his phone buzzed, insistent, demanding, and his expression shuddered like storm clouds rolling in. He glanced at the screen. His jaw tightened. He declined the call. Immediately it buzzed again. "Fan club?" Maeve asked, wiping down the espresso machine. "More like a persistent problem," he muttered, declining again. The door chime rang. A woman swept in. Early 60s, platinum blonde hair and a perfect chignon, Valentino dress that Maeve recognized from Vogue, and an expression that blended maternal concern with steel determination. "Rhett Callahan, don't you dare ignore me again." The man, Rhett apparently, went rigid as rebar. "Mother, what a delightful surprise," he said in a tone that suggested it was anything but. "Surprise. You canceled our breakfast meeting for the 3rd time this month." The woman glided closer, trailed by a young blonde in a cream silk dress who looked like she'd been photoshopped into reality. "And I brought Chelsea so you two could finally connect properly." "Hi, Rhett," this Chelsea chirped, her voice like champagne bubbles. Light, expensive, and ultimately empty. Rhett looked like a wolf caught in a snare. Maeve recognized that trapped expression. She'd worn it herself at family gatherings when her aunts paraded nice boys with good prospects in front of her. "Mother, I already told you." "Nonsense. Chelsea is ideal. You're both from excellent families. She graduated from Princeton. She sits on 3 charity boards. And I'm already in a relationship." Rhett cut in, his knuckles white around his coffee cup. The silence crashed down like a stage curtain. His mother blinked. "What?" "A relationship, serious, committed, everything you claim to want from me." Rhett was clearly improvising. Maeve could tell by the slight tension in his shoulders. "With whom?" His mother's arms folded across her chest. "I know every suitable woman in Seattle's social circle, and you're most certainly not dating any of them." Rhett's ice blue eyes swept the cafe with barely concealed desperation. And then they locked onto Maeve. "Oh no," she thought. "Don't you dare, her," Rhett said. And then he did the most ridiculous, outrageous, completely insane thing Maeve had witnessed in her 27 years. He vaulted over the counter in one smooth motion, cupped her face in both hands, and kissed her. Time fractured into slow motion. The kiss was fire and lightning, demanding, intense, absolutely impossible to ignore. His lips were firm and warm, and Maeve felt electricity race down her spine like a live wire. For one insane heartbeat, she melted into it, her fingers clutching his expensive lapels, feeling his heartbeat thundering against her palms. Then sanity crashed back like cold reality. She shoved him, hard enough to make him stumble back a step. "Are you out of your mind?" Maeve hissed, swiping at her mouth even though her lips still buzzed with sensation. "Dating you, obviously," Rhett said quietly, for her ears only, though his eyes held a dangerous glint of challenge. louder, to his audience. "Mother, this is Maeve. Maeve, meet my mother, Caroline Callahan, and Chelsea Whitmore." Caroline stood frozen, speechless. Chelsea looked like someone had slapped her with a fish. And Maeve was contemplating justifiable homicide. "I am not private about us," Red interrupted smoothly, his arm sliding around her waist with infuriating familiarity. "She prefers keeping our relationship out of the spotlight. I respect her boundaries." "Private?" Caroline found her voice, sharp as cut crystal. "Rhett, you cannot possibly. How long has this been going on?" Chelsea demanded, her champagne voice gone flat. 4 months, Rhett answered without missing a beat. "I wanted to be certain before making it public. And I'm certain." He gazed at Maeve with such convincing tenderness that for half a second, she almost believed him herself. Almost. But she knew better, and she was absolutely furious. "Excuse us," Maeve said through clenched teeth. "My boyfriend and I need to have a private conversation right now." She grabbed his wrist and hauled him toward the storage room, shoved him through the door and slammed it shut behind them. "What is wrong with you?" Rhett had the grace to look mildly apologetic. Mildly. "Listen, I realize this seems unhinged, inappropriate, potentially criminal, complicated," he finished. "But I'll compensate you generously." "Compensate?" Maeve laughed, sharp and humorless. "You used me as a human shield in your family drama. I'll pay you." Well, that made her pause. "What?" $10,000, Rhett said, producing a sleek black wallet. "For your trouble. Cash. Today. Do you never have to see me again?" Maeve stared at the wallet, then at him, then back at the wallet. $10,000. That was 3 months of rent and utilities. That was the professional-grade laptop she desperately needed for her design portfolio. That was breathing room. "You can't just," she started. The door swung open. Caroline stood there, phone extended like a weapon, her expression equal parts victorious and glacial. "Rhett, darling, you might want to see this." She turned the screen to face them. An article on Seattle's social scene posted 3 minutes ago. Tech titan Rhett Callahan caught in steamy kiss with mystery barista. Exclusive photos inside. And there they were, immortalized in high definition. The kiss. Her hands fisted in his suit jacket. The intensity that looked anything but fake. Someone had photographed them. Someone had already published it. And the post was exploding across social media. "So," Caroline said, her smile razor-thin, "not quite as private as you claimed." Rhett's face drained of color. Maeve felt her stomach drop into her shoes. "You have 2 choices," Caroline continued, her voice cool and precise. "Option 1, admit this was a ridiculous stunt to avoid a mature commitment, and watch both your reputations burn in the media firestorm. Your company's stock will take a hit, and she," a pointed look at Maeve, "will be labeled a gold-digging opportunist." "Or?" Rhett asked, his voice dangerously quiet. "Option 2, you make this relationship convincing, publicly, for 3 months minimum through the summer gala. Prove to Seattle society that I'm not a meddling mother and you're not an immature playboy avoiding responsibility. And if I refuse both options, then our family attorney releases a statement calling this exactly what it appears to be, a desperate, impulsive lie. Your credibility takes a permanent hit. Sterling Dynamics board will have questions about your judgment." Caroline's gaze shifted to Maeve. "And you, dear, will be eaten alive by gossip columnists and social media." The silence felt heavy enough to crush them. Maeve found her voice first. "If I agree to this insanity, what's in it for me?" Caroline's smile gained a touch of approval. "You negotiate. Clever. I appreciate that quality." Rhett looked at Maeve, and she caught something unexpected in his expression. Not quite respect, but perhaps recognition. Fellow survivor of impossible situations. "Name your terms," he said. Maeve took a deep breath. This was absolutely crazy, completely ridiculous, but 10,000 was already life-changing money. And 3 months? She could endure 3 months of anything. $50,000, she said clearly. 25,000 up front, 25 when we're done. Plus you fund a new laptop, professional design software, and write me a glowing reference letter for graphic design positions. Done. And no more ambush kissing. His eyes sparked with something between amusement and challenge. "We'll need to kiss in public, to make this believable. Then you warn me first, every time." "Agreed." They stared at each other, reluctant adversaries, unwilling partners. 3 months, Maeve repeated. 3 months, Rhett confirmed. And just like that, with a handshake and a viral photograph, Maeve Quinn stepped into the impossible, glittering world of Rhett Callahan. She just didn't realize yet that 3 months could be long enough to change absolutely everything. Seattle, Washington, Monday, 11:32 a.m. Maeve had imagined many scenarios for how her Monday would unfold. None of them involved sitting in a leather chair worth more than her car, inside a glass-walled conference room on the 42nd floor of Callahan Tower, while a lawyer explained the terms of her fake relationship. Yet here she was. Section 3, subsection B. The attorney, a sharp-eyed woman named Patricia Frost, continued in her crisp voice. Public appearances will include, but are not limited to, charity galas, business dinners, family functions, and casual outings photographed for social media verification. Maeve resisted the urge to laugh hysterically. This was her life now, a contract, for pretending to date a billionaire who'd kissed her to escape his mother's matchmaking. Rhett sat across from her, perfectly composed in a fresh navy suit, looking like he negotiated fake relationship agreements every Tuesday. His ice blue eyes scanned the document with the same intensity he'd probably used to build his tech empire. The compensation structure, Patricia flipped a page, is outlined in Section 5. $25,000 transferred today, with the remaining $25,000 paid upon successful completion of the 3-month term, ending at the conclusion of the summer gala on August 15th. Plus equipment, Maeve interjected. Patricia nodded. Plus a laptop computer, design software suite, and professional equipment as specified in Addendum C, to be provided within 1 week. Mr. Callahan will also provide a written professional reference upon contract completion. Rhett's mouth quirked slightly. You're thorough. I'm motivated, Maeve shot back. $50,000 is motivation. Fair enough, Patricia continued, unflappable. Section 7 covers physical affection parameters. Both parties agree that public displays of affection may be necessary to maintain relationship authenticity. These include, but are not limited to, hand-holding, embracing, and kissing. Maeve's cheeks heated despite herself. With advance warning. Noted and included, Patricia confirmed. Mr. Callahan agrees to provide reasonable notice before initiating physical contact, with exceptions made for spontaneous situations requiring immediate believability. Define spontaneous situations, Maeve said suspiciously. Rhett leaned forward, elbows on the polished mahogany table. If my mother shows up unexpectedly, if photographers catch us off guard, if someone questions our relationship directly. So basically, whenever you decide it's convenient, I'm not going to maul you in public without warning, if that's your concern. His voice held a trace of amusement. Despite what you might think, I do have some boundaries. Could have fooled me this morning. This morning was unprecedented. That's one word for assault. It was mutually beneficial assault, Rhett countered, something sparking in those cold eyes. You're getting paid quite well for it. Patricia cleared her throat diplomatically. Section 9 addresses termination clauses. Either party may terminate this agreement early under specific circumstances, exposure of the arrangement, breach of confidentiality, or mutual consent. However, early termination without cause results in forfeiture of the remaining payment. That got Maeve's attention. So if I bail, I lose the second $25,000? Correct. And if he bails, you receive the full $50,000 plus a penalty of an additional $25,000 for breach of contract. Maeve blinked. You're serious? Rhett shrugged. It's only fair. You're taking a bigger risk than I am. Your reputation, your job, your privacy, all of it's on the line. The penalty ensures I'm committed to seeing this through. She studied him, trying to reconcile this version. Calm, reasonable, almost considerate, with the arrogant man who'd kissed her 6 hours ago. Why does this matter so much to you? She asked. You're a billionaire. Can't you just tell your mother to back off? Something flickered across his face. Not quite pain, but close. Caroline Callahan doesn't accept no as an answer. She's convinced I'm wasting my life building companies instead of building a legacy family. In her world, success means the right marriage, the right connections, the right everything. And you don't want that? I want her to stop trying to control my life. His jaw tightened. 3 months of you is a small price for 3 years of peace. Gee, thanks. I feel so valued. You know what I mean. Do I? They stared at each other across the table, tension crackling like static electricity. Patricia closed the folder with a decisive snap. If both parties agree to the terms as outlined, we can execute signatures and initiate the first payment transfer immediately. Maeve took a deep breath. $50,000. A laptop, software, a reference letter, 3 months. She could do 3 months. Where do I sign? 20 minutes later, Maeve stood in Rhett's private office. All floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, and a view of Seattle that made her stomach flip while he tapped something on his phone. Transfer complete, he said. Check your account. Maeve pulled out her battered iPhone, opened her banking app, and nearly dropped the phone. $25,000. Actually there, in her checking account. This is real, she whispered. Did you think I was bluffing? I don't know what I thought. She looked up at him. This stranger who'd just changed her financial situation with a few taps. This is insane. Welcome to my world. Your world is exhausting. You have no idea. Rhett moved to the windows, hands in his pockets silhouetted against the Seattle skyline. We should establish ground rules beyond the contract. More rules? Personal ones. Things Patricia doesn't need to know. He turned to face her. First rule, honesty between us. No lies about the arrangement itself. If something bothers you, say it. Maeve crossed her arms. Fine. Second rule, my job. I'm not quitting the cafe. I need normal in my life, and that's it. Agreed. Though you might want to prepare for increased attention there. She groaned. I hadn't thought about that. Your co-workers will have questions. Your manager definitely will. You'll need a story. What story? That we met at the cafe 3 months ago. I came in every morning. We talked. It developed slowly. You were hesitant because of the wealth difference, but I pursued you because you're smart, talented, and treat me like a regular person instead of a bank account. Maeve blinked. You've really thought this through. I don't do anything halfway. He pulled out his phone again. We need to exchange numbers, and you need to text me at least twice a day. Couples communicate. What do I text you? Good morning, fake boyfriend. His mouth twitched. Try good morning without the qualifier. Maybe throw in an emoji. Girlfriends use emojis, right? Are you seriously asking me about emoji protocol? I don't have a lot of relationship experience. Clearly, they exchanged numbers in silence. Maeve programmed his contact as Rhett Fake BF before thinking better of it and changing it to just Rhett. If someone saw her phone, the label would raise questions. Third rule, Rhett said. You need new clothes. Maeve's spine went rigid. Excuse me? For events. Galas, dinners. They have dress codes. I'll arrange for a stylist. Absolutely not. His eyebrows rose. It's not an insult. It's practicality. It's you trying to change me to fit your world. It's me making sure you're comfortable at events where people will judge every detail. His voice gentled slightly. I'm not criticizing your style, Maeve. But a $5,000 a plate charity dinner requires a certain presentation. She hated that he was right. Fine, but I picked the final outfits. No one dresses me like a doll. Deal. He checked his watch. Something sleek and probably worth more than her entire wardrobe. You should head home, get some rest. Tomorrow morning be ready at 9. We're having brunch with my mother. Tomorrow? Already? We need to control the narrative before it controls us. Caroline's expecting us. And she's invited Chelsea's parents, the Whitmores, so they can see firsthand that I'm unavailable. Maeve's stomach twisted. That sounds like a nightmare. It will be. Rhett's expression was unreadable. But you're getting paid for nightmares now. Comforting. I'll pick you up. Text me your address. You're driving. You sound surprised. I figured billionaires had drivers. I like driving. It's one of the few things I control completely. Something vulnerable flickered in his eyes. Gone so fast, she almost missed it. Text me by tonight, and Maeve? She paused at the door. Yeah? Thank you for doing this. The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. For a moment, he wasn't the arrogant CEO who'd kissed her without permission. He was just a man trapped by expectations, same as her. Don't thank me yet, she said. We might kill each other before 3 months is up. That would violate the contract. Then I guess we'd better survive. That evening, Maeve sat in her tiny studio apartment in Fremont, laptop open to her banking app, staring at the number that still didn't feel real. $25,000. She could pay off her credit card debt, buy new tires for her car, actually afford her rent without eating ramen for 2 weeks straight. Her phone buzzed. Rhett. Address? She hesitated, then typed out her apartment building and unit number. Rhett. Got it. 9 a.m. sharp tomorrow. Wear something nice but not too formal. Think upscale brunch. Maeve. Any other demands, Your Majesty? Rhett. Just one. Try not to insult my mother to her face, at least not in the first hour. Maeve. No promises. Rhett. Fair enough. Good night, Maeve. Maeve. Good night, Rhett. She stared at the exchange. This was her life now. Texting a billionaire, preparing for brunch with Seattle's elite, pretending to be someone's girlfriend for money. Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Hi, Maeve. This is Chelsea Whitmore. Got your number from Caroline. Would love to get coffee and get to know you. Rhett's so private, it would be nice to have another woman in the circle. Let me know. Maeve's blood ran cold. This was the complication she hadn't anticipated. The fake relationship was supposed to be simple. Show up, look pretty, collect payment. Nobody said anything about making friends with the woman Rhett was supposed to marry. She screenshotted the message and sent it to Rhett. Maeve. Houston, we have a problem. His response came within seconds. Rhett. Ignore her. Maeve. She seems nice. Rhett. She's calculating, just like her parents. They want the Callahan connection for business reasons. Maeve. And your mother wants the Whitmore connection for social reasons. Rhett. Exactly. Which is why this arrangement benefits both of us. I get freedom. You get financial security. Everyone else gets disappointed. Maeve. You have a very cynical view of relationships. Rhett. I have a very realistic view of my world. Maeve set her phone down, uneasy. Something about Chelsea's message felt genuine, not calculated. But maybe that was the point. Maybe everyone in Rhett's world was so good at performing that authenticity itself became a performance. She looked around her apartment. The thrift store furniture, the walls covered in her design sketches, the window view of a parking lot instead of a skyline. 3 months ago, this was her life. Simple, struggling, but hers. Now she was stepping into something else entirely, something that came with contracts, luxury, and complications she couldn't predict. Her phone buzzed one final time. Rhett. For what it's worth, I meant what I said earlier. Thank you, and I promise to make this as painless as possible. Maeve. That's what they all say before things go sideways. Rhett. Then I guess we'll go sideways together. Despite everything, the insanity, the risk, the sheer absurdity, Maeve smiled. 3 months. She could survive 3 months. Right? Seattle, Washington, Tuesday, 8:47 a.m. Maeve was having second thoughts. Actually, she was having about 70th thoughts. All of them variations of what was I thinking, as she stood in front of her closet, surrounded by rejected outfit options like a fashion crime scene. Upscale brunch. What did that even mean? Her phone buzzed. Rhett. Downstairs in 10 minutes. Maeve. You're early. Rhett. I'm punctual, there's a difference. Maeve. I'm not ready. Rhett. Take your time. I'll wait. She stared at the text, surprised by his patience. Then again, this was his show. He needed her presentable. Finally, she settled on an emerald green wrap dress she'd found at a vintage boutique. Fitted but not too tight, sophisticated but still her style. Paired with simple black heels and small gold hoops, it would have to do. One last look in the mirror. Deep breath. You can do this. It's just brunch. With a billionaire's terrifying mother. And the woman he was supposed to marry. No pressure. Her phone buzzed again. Rhett. You look beautiful, by the way. Maeve froze. How did he? She went to her window and looked down. A sleek black Tesla sat at the curb, and Rhett stood leaning against it, phone in hand, looking up at her building, looking up at her window. He'd seen her silhouette. Even from 3 floors up, she could see him smile. Something fluttered in her chest. Something dangerous. It's fake, she reminded herself. This is all fake. 10 minutes later, Maeve slid into the passenger seat, hyper-aware of the expensive leather, the new car smell, the fact that this vehicle probably cost more than she'd make in 5 years. You weren't kidding about liking to drive, she said, buckling in. Rhett pulled smoothly into traffic. It's meditative. No assistants, no board members, no one telling me where to go or what to do. Just the road. Must be nice having that kind of freedom, says the woman who told me exactly where I could shove my expectations yesterday. Maeve laughed despite her nerves. Fair point. They drove in comfortable silence for a few blocks. Rhett navigated the morning traffic with easy confidence, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on the center console. He'd dressed down slightly, no tie, charcoal button-down with rolled sleeves that showed surprisingly muscular forearms. Stop noticing his forearms, Maeve told herself firmly. Nervous? He asked. Terrified. Good. That makes two of us. She glanced at him. You're nervous. You built $1 billion company. You negotiate with venture capitalists. You're afraid of brunch? I'm afraid of my mother when she's in interrogation mode. His jaw tightened slightly. She's going to ask you everything. Where you grew up, where you went to school, what your parents do, what your 5-year plan looks like. She's vetting you for a fake relationship. She doesn't know it's fake. Right. Maeve twisted her hands in her lap. So, what's my story? The truth, mostly. Easier to remember. Rhett glanced at her. Where did you grow up? Portland. Moved to Seattle for college. Which college? University of Washington. Graphic design major, but I couldn't afford to finish. Took a break to work, never quite made it back. Something shifted in his expression. You dropped out? 2 classes shy of my degree. Student loans were drowning me, and my parents... She trailed off. Let's just say they weren't in a position to help. What about your 5-year plan? Maeve laughed bitterly. Survive. That's pretty much it. Maybe save enough to finish my degree. Build a portfolio good enough to actually land design work instead of slinging espresso. Rhett was quiet for a moment. The laptop and software I'm buying you. Use them. Build that portfolio. And when this is over, I'll make sure the reference letter opens doors. The sincerity in his voice caught her off guard. Why? Why what? Why do you care? This is a business arrangement. Because talent shouldn't be wasted due to circumstances. He pulled into a parking garage beneath a restaurant she'd only seen in magazine spreads. And because you're good at what you do. I've seen your sketches. Maeve's head whipped toward him. How? Your Instagram. I did my research last night. He cut the engine and turned to face her. You're talented, Maeve. Really talented. You shouldn't be making coffee. You should be creating campaigns, designing brands, building portfolios for actual clients. Her throat tightened unexpectedly. Nobody had said that to her in years. Not since she dropped out and her professors had stopped returning her emails. Thank you, she managed. Don't thank me. Just promise me you'll use this opportunity. The money, the equipment, the time. Use it to build something real. They stared at each other in the dim parking garage, and Maeve felt something shift. Some wall she'd built crumbling slightly. This wasn't just about money anymore. Okay, she whispered. I promise. Rhett nodded, then reached across and squeezed her hand briefly. Ready to face the firing squad? As ready as I'll ever be. The Waterview restaurant occupied the top floor of the building, all floor-to-ceiling windows and understated elegance. The kind of place where the menu didn't list prices because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. Caroline Callahan sat at a corner table with a view of Elliott Bay, perfectly poised in a cream pantsuit. Beside her sat an older couple Maeve assumed were the Whitmores, and across from them, Chelsea in a pale pink dress that probably cost more than Maeve's rent. Brett, darling. Caroline stood, air-kissing both his cheeks. And Maeve, how lovely. The way she said lovely suggested it was anything but. Mrs. Callahan, Maeve said, accepting a brief cold handshake. Caroline, please. We're practically family now. That smile again. Perfectly pleasant, perfectly false. This is Douglas and Patricia Whitmore, and of course you've met Chelsea. Hi again. Chelsea beamed, seeming genuinely happy. I'm so glad you could make it. I was just telling everyone how excited I am to have another young woman in our circle. Maeve felt a pang of guilt. Chelsea seemed nice, genuinely nice. This was going to be more complicated than she'd thought. Rhett's hand found the small of her back as they sat, a gesture that looked natural, protective, but sent electricity up her spine. Focus, she told herself. This is a performance. So Maeve, Caroline began the moment they'd ordered. Eggs Benedict for Maeve, though she wasn't sure she could eat anything. Rhett tells us you're a graphic designer? I'm working toward that, yes. Right now I'm a barista while I build my portfolio. How industrious. Caroline's tone suggested it was anything but a compliment. And where did you study? University of Washington. Lovely school. What year did you graduate? Here it comes. I'm actually 2 classes shy of my degree. I had to take a break for financial reasons. The table went quiet. Even Chelsea looked uncomfortable. I see, Caroline said carefully. And your family? What do they do? Maeve felt Rhett tense beside her. My father works in construction. My mother's a home health aide. Honest work, Douglas Whitmore interjected, his voice surprisingly kind. Built this country on honest work. Indeed, Caroline said tightly. And how exactly did you and Rhett meet? At the cafe, Maeve said, grateful to be on safer ground. He came in every morning for about 2 weeks before we actually talked. I thought he was rude at first. Rhett's mouth quirked. I was efficient. You were arrogant. I grew on you, like mold grows on bread. Chelsea laughed, a genuine bright sound. I like her. She doesn't let you intimidate her. Something warm flickered in Rhett's eyes as he looked at Maeve. No, she definitely doesn't. The way he said it, the way he was looking at her, it felt real. Too real, remember, she told herself. Performance. How romantic, Caroline said, her voice like ice cracking. And you've been together 4 months? 3.5, Rhett corrected smoothly. Give or take. Yet you never mentioned her, not once. I value privacy, Mother, you know that. Privacy is one thing, secrecy is another. Caroline leaned forward. What are your intentions with my son, Maeve? The question hung in the air like a blade. Maeve felt every eye at the table on her. This was the moment. The test. She reached over and took Rhett's hand. A bold move, but necessary. I intend to make him happy, that's all. And his money has nothing to do with it? Mother, Rhett's voice went dangerously quiet. It's okay, Maeve interrupted, squeezing his hand. She met Caroline's gaze directly. I won't pretend I don't know Rhett is wealthy. Everyone in Seattle knows that, but I didn't chase him. He chased me, and honestly, the money makes things harder, not easier. How so? Because people assume things. Like you're assuming right now. Maeve felt her heart pounding but kept her voice steady. You're assuming I'm after something, that I'm not good enough because my parents work normal jobs and I don't have a trust fund. But I make Rhett laugh. I challenge him. I treat him like a person, not a bank account. And maybe that's exactly what he needs. Silence. Then Douglas Whitmore started clapping slowly. Well said, young lady. Well said. Even Patricia Whitmore smiled. She's got spirit, Caroline. You have to give her that. Caroline's expression was unreadable. Indeed, Rhett's thumb traced circles on Maeve's palm under the table, a gesture of gratitude, or maybe solidarity. Either way, it made her pulse race. The rest of brunch passed in a blur of small talk and careful navigation. Chelsea asked about Maeve's design work with genuine interest. Douglas told stories about his early business days that made everyone laugh. Even Caroline thawed slightly, though her sharp eyes never stopped assessing. By the time they finished, Maeve felt like she'd run a marathon. In the parking garage, Rhett opened her car door but didn't let her get in immediately. That was incredible, he said quietly. What was? The way you stood up to my mother. Nobody does that. I was terrified. You didn't show it. He stepped closer, close enough that she could smell his cologne. Something woodsy and expensive. You were brilliant, authentic, exactly what this arrangement needed. It's not an arrangement, Maeve said softly. Not when we're around them, it's a performance. Is that what this feels like to you? A performance? His ice blue eyes searched hers, and Maeve's breath caught. They were standing too close. His hand was still on the car door, effectively caging her in. Not threatening, just present. What else would it be? She whispered. Rhett leaned in, his lips near her ear. Someone might be watching. The Whitmores haven't left yet. Then he kissed her. Not like the first time. Desperate and impulsive. This was slow, deliberate, devastating. His hand cupped her face, thumb stroking her cheekbone, while his lips moved against hers with practiced precision. Maeve's hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer without thinking. The kiss deepened, and she forgot they were in a parking garage. Forgot this was fake. Forgot everything except the way he tasted like coffee and mint, the way his body pressed against hers, the way her entire nervous system lit up like fireworks. When he finally pulled back, they were both breathing hard. Performance, Rhett said roughly, but his eyes told a different story. Right, Maeve managed. Performance. Neither of them moved. A car door slammed somewhere nearby, breaking the spell. Rhett stepped back, running a hand through his hair. The first time she'd seen him look anything less than perfectly composed. "I should get you home," he said. "Yeah." The drive back was quiet, charged with something neither of them wanted to name. When he pulled up in front of her building, Maeve reached for the door handle, then paused. "Rhett? Yeah? Thank you for what you said about my talent, about using this opportunity." He turned to face her, expression serious. "I meant every word. You're better than serving coffee, Maeve. Don't let circumstances tell you otherwise." Something in her chest squeezed painfully. "You barely know me. I know enough." His hand found hers again. "And I want to know more. As part of the arrangement, obviously." Obviously. But the way he was looking at her suggested it was anything but obvious. Maeve fled to her apartment, heart pounding, lips still tingling. She'd agreed to 3 months of pretending. Nobody had warned her that pretending might start feeling real. That night, her phone buzzed. "Rhett, laptop and software ordered. Should arrive Thursday." "Maeve, you didn't have to do that so fast." "Rhett, a deal's a deal. Plus, I want to see what you create." "Maeve, pressure much?" "Rhett, consider it motivation." A pause, then. "Rhett, you did great today. My mother is a tough crowd." "Maeve, Chelsea seems nice though." "Rhett, she's playing a part too. Everyone in my world is." "Maeve, even you?" "Rhett, especially me." "Maeve, what about today? In the parking garage?" The typing indicator appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "Rhett, what about it?" "Maeve, that didn't feel like playing a part." Another long pause. "Rhett, no, it didn't. Good night, Maeve." "Maeve, good night, Rhett." She stared at her phone long after the screen went dark. 3 months suddenly felt like a very long time, and also not nearly long enough. Seattle, Washington, Friday, 6:15 p.m. 2 weeks into the arrangement, and Maeve's life had become unrecognizable. The laptop arrived as promised. A top-of-the-line MacBook Pro that made her old computer look like a relic from the Stone Age. The design software suite was worth thousands, and somehow, between coffee shifts and mandatory couple appearances, she'd actually started building her portfolio. But it was the other changes that threw her off balance. The way Rhett texted her good morning every day without fail. The way he remembered she took her coffee with oat milk, not regular. The way he'd shown up at the cafe on Wednesday with lunch because she'd mentioned skipping breakfast. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't watching. Now they were at some tech industry mixer at a downtown gallery, surrounded by people in expensive clothes discussing cryptocurrency and startup valuations, and Maeve was trying very hard not to feel like an imposter. "You're doing the thing again," Rhett murmured, his hand resting on her lower back. "What thing?" "The thing where you twist your bracelet when you're anxious." His thumb traced a small circle against her spine. "Relax. You belong here. I'm a barista in a borrowed dress. You're a talented designer in a dress you picked yourself." He'd insisted she choose from the stylist's options, and she'd chosen a deep burgundy number that made her feel powerful instead of pretty. "And you're my girlfriend. That's all anyone needs to know." The word girlfriend still sent an odd flutter through her chest, even though she knew it was fake. Mostly fake. Maybe fake. "Rhett," a tall man in a navy suit approached, all white teeth and aggressive confidence. "Haven't seen you since the tech summit. How have you been?" "Busy. Marcus, this is Maeve Quinn. Maeve, Marcus Chen from Velocity Ventures." Marcus's eyes raked over her with barely concealed assessment. "The famous girlfriend. I heard rumors, but I'll admit, I didn't believe them." "Why not?" Maeve asked, keeping her voice light. "Because our Rhett here is married to his work. I figured he'd die alone in his office, clutching a quarterly report." Marcus laughed at his own joke. "No offense." "None taken," Rhett said coolly. "Though I could say the same about you. How's that divorce proceeding?" Marcus's smile tightened. "Touché. Well, nice meeting you, Maeve. Don't let this workaholic neglect you too much." When he walked away, Maeve turned to Rhett. "Friend of yours. Competitor and a jerk." Rhett's jaw was tight. "Sorry about that. Don't be. I've dealt with worse during morning coffee rush." She spotted a waiter with champagne and snagged 2 glasses, handing one to Rhett. "Though I'm starting to understand why you kissed a stranger to avoid this world. It's exhausting," he admitted. "Everyone wanting something. Every conversation a negotiation. Every interaction performative. Even this one?" His ice blue eyes locked onto hers. No, not this one. The moment stretched between them, charged and dangerous. Rhett Callahan. A woman's voice shattered the tension. Chelsea appeared in a cloud of jasmine perfume and pink chiffon, beaming. I didn't know you'd be here. Chelsea. Hi. Rhett's expression shifted to polite neutrality. And Maeve. Chelsea hugged her like they were old friends. You look stunning. That color is perfect on you. Thanks, Maeve said, genuinely meaning it. 2 weeks of occasional coffee dates had proven Chelsea was exactly what she seemed. Kind, a little naive, but genuinely sweet, which made this whole situation feel even more complicated. Are you two staying for the silent auction? Chelsea asked. There's an amazing photography collection up. Proceeds go to youth arts programs. We'll check it out, Rhett said. Chelsea's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and grimaced. That's my mother. She wants me to network with the Stevenson tech people. Duty calls. But coffee next week, Maeve. I want to hear more about your design work. When she fluttered away, Maeve sighed. I really like her. I know. This would be so much easier if she was terrible. I know. Does she know? About her parents wanting her to marry you for business connections? Rhett was quiet for a moment. I don't think so. I think she genuinely believes it's about compatibility and shared values. She's not calculating like they are. That makes it worse. Yeah. They moved toward the auction display, pretending to examine photographs while staying close enough to maintain the couple illusion. Can I ask you something? Maeve said quietly. Always. Why did you really agree to your mother's setup attempts? You're 32, successful, independent. You could have just said no and dealt with the consequences. Rhett studied a black and white cityscape photograph, but his mind was clearly elsewhere. When I was building Sterling Dynamics, my mother helped. Connections, introductions, capital. She opened doors I couldn't have opened alone. I owe her. But she thinks that debt means she gets to control my life forever. Who I date, who I marry, what kind of family I build. His voice dropped. And maybe part of me was too tired to fight anymore. Easier to let her arrange something suitable than to keep arguing. Until you snapped and kissed a barista. Best impulsive decision I ever made. He turned to face her fully. These past 2 weeks, they've been the first time in years I've felt like myself. Not the CEO, not Caroline Callahan's son, just me. Maeve's heart squeezed. Rhett. Mr. Callahan? A young woman in gallery uniform approached nervously. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but there's a phone call for you. They said it's urgent regarding Sterling Dynamics. Rhett's expression shifted immediately to business mode. I'll take it outside. Maeve, I'll be right back. Go, I'll survive. He squeezed her hand once, then disappeared toward the exit. Maeve wandered the gallery alone, studying the photographs and trying not to think about how natural his hand had felt in hers. How right it felt to stand beside him. How much she looked forward to his good morning texts. This was supposed to be business. $50,000 in 3 months. When had it become something else? He's good at that, isn't he? Maeve turned. Caroline Callahan stood there in an ice blue gown, champagne in hand. Expression unreadable. Good at what? Making people feel special. Important. Like they matter. Caroline took a sip of champagne. It's a valuable skill in business. And in personal relationships. Mrs. Callahan, Caroline, please, we're past formalities. She moved to stand beside Maeve, both of them facing a photograph of Elliott Bay at sunset. Can I be honest with you? I'd prefer it. I don't like you. The bluntness was almost refreshing. I gathered that. It's nothing personal. I'm sure you're a lovely girl, but you're not what I envisioned for my son. Caroline's voice was clinical, matter of fact. You don't come from our world. You don't understand the pressures, the expectations, the responsibilities that come with the Callahan name. You're right. I don't. But, Caroline paused. I also can't remember the last time I saw Rhett smile the way he smiles at you. The way he looked at you tonight, that's not performance, that's not strategic, that's real. Maeve's breath caught. So I'm going to give you a choice, Caroline continued. End this now, cleanly, and I'll make sure you're compensated for your time and trouble. Walk away before it gets messier, before one or both of you gets hurt. Or see this through. But understand that if you stay, if you're actually falling for my son, then this stops being a casual relationship. It becomes serious. It becomes something with consequences. Caroline finally looked at her. Can you handle that? Can you handle being with someone whose life is constantly scrutinized, whose business decisions affect thousands of people, whose mother will always question if you're good enough? Maeve's throat felt tight. Why are you telling me this? Because despite what you think, I do want Rhett to be happy. And if you make him happy, truly happy, then maybe I've been wrong about what he needs. Caroline's expression softened almost imperceptibly. But if you're going to break his heart, do it now, before it's too late. She walked away, leaving Maeve standing alone, head spinning. 15 minutes later, Rhett found her on the gallery's rooftop terrace, staring out at the Seattle skyline. Sorry about that. Crisis averted. He came to stand beside her at the railing. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost. Your mother cornered me. He tensed. What did she say? That I should walk away before someone gets hurt. Maeve turned to face him. That what's happening between us is becoming real. The city lights reflected in his ice-blue eyes. Is it? Is it what? Becoming real. For you. The question hung in the air between them, heavy with possibility and danger. Maeve should lie, should protect herself, should remember this was a business arrangement with an expiration date. But she was so tired of pretending. Yes, she whispered. Rhett's expression cracked. Relief and fear and something that looked like wonder all at once. I thought I was going crazy. You too? Maeve, I think about you constantly. I look forward to our fake dates more than I've looked forward to anything in years. I find excuses to text you. I drive past your cafe even when I don't need coffee, just hoping to see you through the window. He ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. This was supposed to be simple. A business arrangement. But somewhere between the contract and now, it stopped being fake. Her heart hammered against her ribs. What do we do? I don't know. This wasn't part of the plan. We have 7 weeks left on the contract. Screw the contract. Rhett stepped closer, cupping her face in both hands. I want this to be real. I want you to be my actual girlfriend, not my fake one. I want to take you on dates because I want to, not because we have to maintain appearances. I want. Maeve kissed him. Not for show, not because anyone was watching, but because she couldn't not kiss him anymore. This kiss was different from all the others. No performance, no audience, no pretense. Just them, on a rooftop, admitting something terrifying and true. When they broke apart, both breathless, Rhett pressed his forehead against hers. This is a terrible idea, he murmured. The worst. We're from completely different worlds. Completely. My mother will make your life difficult. She already does. I'm a workaholic with control issues. I'm stubborn with trust issues. This will be complicated. Everything worth having is complicated. Rhett pulled back just enough to look at her. Are you saying yes? I'm saying let's try. For real this time. No contract, no end date, no arrangement, just us seeing where this goes. What about the money? The deal? Keep it. I earned it dealing with your mother's brunch interrogations alone. Maeve smiled. But from now on, I'm with you because I want to be. Not because I'm being paid. You're sure? Terrified, but sure. Rhett kissed her again, softer this time, reverent, like he was afraid she'd disappear if he wasn't careful. We should probably go back inside, he said eventually. People will notice we're gone. Let them notice. Rebel. You like it. I really do. They stayed on the rooftop another 10 minutes, just holding each other, watching the city lights flicker below. Everything had changed. The safe, simple arrangement had exploded into something real and risky, and absolutely terrifying. But as Rhett's arms tightened around her, Maeve couldn't bring herself to regret it. Later that night, Maeve lay in bed, staring at her phone. Rhett, made it home, still can't believe tonight was real. Maeve, very real. Rhett, no takebacks? Maeve, no takebacks. Rhett, good, because I'm taking you on an actual date tomorrow. No networking, no appearances, no cameras. Just us. Maeve, where? Rhett, it's a surprise. Wear something comfortable. I'll pick you up at 10. Maeve, mysterious. Rhett, you have no idea. Good night, Maeve, my real girlfriend. Maeve, good night, Rhett, my real boyfriend. She set the phone down, heart full and terrified in equal measure. Somewhere between the fake contract and tonight, she'd fallen for Rhett Callahan, and judging by the way he'd looked at her on that rooftop, he'd fallen too. Now they just had to figure out how to make it work when their entire relationship had been built on a lie. Seattle, Washington. 3 weeks later, Maeve had never been this happy. It was terrifying. The past 3 weeks with Rhett as her actual boyfriend, not her fake one, had been a revelation. He took her hiking in the Cascades where they talked for hours about everything and nothing. He showed up at the cafe with her favorite pastries from the bakery across town. He sat in her tiny apartment and watched her work on designs, offering genuine feedback that made her portfolio stronger. And the way he kissed her, slow and thorough and completely devastating, made her forget why she'd ever thought this was a bad idea. Now it was Saturday morning, and she was in his penthouse kitchen, stealing his fancy coffee while he finished a call in his home office. "Maeve," his voice called from down the hall. "Can you come here for a second?" She padded barefoot down the hallway. She'd started keeping clothes here, a development that both thrilled and terrified her, and found him at his desk, laptop open, expression serious. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Actually, something's very right." He turned the screen toward her. "Remember that design you did for the youth arts charity? The one from the gallery auction? The mock-up you said I should submit? Yeah, they want to use it. Real budget, real campaign. Your name on everything." His eyes gleamed with pride. "Maeve, this is your first major client." She stared at the email, her heart racing. "Are you serious?" "Completely. They're offering $5,000 for the full package. It's not huge, but it's legitimate work. Real portfolio material." Maeve launched herself at him, wrapping her arms around his neck. "This is incredible." Rhett caught her easily, pulling her onto his lap. "You're incredible. I just made an introduction. You did the work. You believed in me when no one else did." "That's not true. You believed in yourself." He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "You just needed the tools and opportunity to show it." She kissed him, slow and sweet, pouring gratitude and affection and something deeper into it, something she hadn't quite found the courage to say yet. When they broke apart, Rhett's expression had shifted to something vulnerable. "I need to tell you something," he said quietly. "Okay. I'm falling in love with you." The world stopped spinning. "Actually, that's not accurate." He cupped her face in both hands. "I've already fallen. Completely. Irrevocably. I love you, Maeve Quinn. I love your sarcasm and your talent and the way you call me out when I'm being ridiculous. I love that you make me laugh and challenge me and treat me like a person instead of a CEO. I love—" She kissed him, cutting off the words, tears streaming down her face. "I love you too," she whispered against his lips. "So much it scares me." "Yeah?" "Terrifyingly much." Rhett's smile was brighter than she'd ever seen it. He kissed her again, deeper this time, and Maeve felt like her chest might explode from happiness. "Stay tonight," he murmured. "Stay the whole weekend. Let me make you dinner and watch terrible movies and just be with you." "Okay. Yeah? Yeah." They spent the afternoon tangled together on his couch, talking about everything. Her childhood in Portland, his lonely boarding school years, dreams they'd given up, hopes they were reclaiming. As sunset painted the Seattle skyline in orange and gold, Maeve felt something she hadn't felt in years, complete contentment. "I could get used to this," she said, head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "Good, because I'm not letting you go." "Possessive much?" "When it comes to you, absolutely." Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. She ignored it. It buzzed again, and again. "You should check that," Rhett said. Sighing, Maeve grabbed her phone. 7 texts from Chelsea. "Chelsea. Maeve, call me. It's important." "Chelsea. Please. I need to talk to you." "Chelsea. It's about Rhett." "Chelsea. I know about the contract." Maeve's blood turned to ice. "What's wrong?" Rhett sat up, immediately alert. "Chelsea knows." "Knows what?" "About the contract. The arrangement." Maeve's hands shook as she showed him the messages. How would she know? Rhett's expression went dark. "Let me call her." He dialed, putting it on speaker. Chelsea answered on the first ring. "Rhett, I was hoping Maeve would call, but this works too." "Chelsea, what's going on?" "You tell me." Her usually sweet voice had an edge. "I was at my parents' house this morning. Overheard them on a call with your mother. They were laughing about how the fake girlfriend arrangement was working perfectly to keep me interested. That men always want what they can't have." Maeve felt sick. "They said your mother paid some barista to pretend to date you. That it was all a setup to manipulate me into wanting you more. They thought it was brilliant strategy. Chelsea, Rhett started. Is it true? Was she paid to date you? The silence was answer enough. Initially, yes, Rhett said finally. But, oh my gosh. Chelsea's voice cracked. I defended you both. When people said it was suspicious, when they said she was after your money, I stood up for you. I thought we were friends, Maeve. We are, Maeve said desperately. Chelsea, it started as an arrangement, but it's real now. We fell in love. How am I supposed to believe that? How do I know any of it is real and not just another manipulation? Chelsea's voice shook. My parents are already drafting a statement. They're going to the press Monday morning unless you agree to a public apology and a substantial donation to their foundation. They're calling it fraud, emotional manipulation, damage to my reputation. Those opportunistic— Rhett bit off the curse. This isn't about you, Chelsea. It's about them getting leverage over my family. Maybe, but you still lied to me. You both did. You let me believe in a fairy tale while you were playing games. It wasn't a game, Maeve said, tears streaming down her face. Not anymore. Please, Chelsea, we never meant to hurt you. But you did. A pause. I really liked you, Maeve. I thought you were different. Turns out you're just like everyone else in this world. Willing to do anything for money. The call ended. Maeve stared at the phone, shaking. This is bad. This is a disaster. Rhett was already pacing, his CEO brain clearly working through scenarios. If the Whitmores go public with the contract, the media will crucify us. My company's reputation will take a hit. Your design career will be dead before it starts. No one will hire the woman who faked a relationship with a billionaire for money. I need to fix this. How? I'll give the money back, all of it. I'll make a statement saying I manipulated you, that it was all my idea. Absolutely not. Rhett stopped pacing, voice sharp. You're not falling on a sword for my family's drama. Then what do we do? He ran both hands through his hair, looking more stressed than she'd ever seen him. I don't know. I need to think. I need to— His phone rang. Caroline. Mother. Even from across the room, Maeve could hear her voice, sharp and furious. Rhett's expression grew darker with each word. No, I won't end it. Because I love her. That's not your decision. You did what? Maeve's stomach dropped. You told the Whitmores about the contract? Rhett's voice was dangerously quiet. You orchestrated this entire disaster? Maeve could hear Caroline's voice rising, defensive. To prove she wasn't good enough? To force me to choose between her and the company? Rhett laughed, bitter and harsh. Congratulations, Mother. You've outdone yourself. He ended the call and hurled his phone across the room. It hit the wall with a sickening crack. Rhett, she told them. His voice shook with rage. My own mother leaked the contract to force my hand. If I don't break up with you publicly and apologize, she'll back the Whitmores' lawsuit. She'll use her board influence to push me out of Sterling Dynamics. She'll destroy everything I've built. Then do it. He looked at her like she'd slapped him. What? Break up with me publicly. Save your company. Maeve's voice was surprisingly steady despite the tears. This is what I was afraid of from the beginning. I don't belong in your world, Rhett. I never did. Don't say that. It's true, your mother is right. I'm the barista who got paid to date you. That's how this story ends. No. Rhett crossed to her, gripping her shoulders. That's how it started. It's not how it ends. I love you. That's real. Nothing she does can change that. Love isn't enough. Maeve's heart was shattering. Not when it costs you everything. Your company, your reputation, your family. I won't let you lose all of that for me. You're asking me to choose? I'm setting you free. Maeve, please. I'm going home. She pulled away, wiping her eyes. You need time to think without me here. Make the smart choice, Rhett. The business choice. It's what you're good at. Don't do this. Someone has to. She grabbed her purse, her vision blurred with tears. I love you. That's why I'm walking away. Before I cost you everything. You are everything. Those words almost broke her resolve. Almost. Goodbye, Rhett. She made it to the elevator before the sobs came. Sunday passed in a blur of crying and overthinking. Maeve ignored 17 calls from Rhett, 43 texts. She couldn't face him. Couldn't watch him choose between her and everything he'd built. Better to make the choice for him. Monday morning, she woke to her phone exploding with notifications. The Whitmores had gone to the press. Tech billionaire's fake romance exposed. Callahan paid barista $50K to pose as girlfriend. The article had everything. The contract details, photos of them together, quotes from anonymous sources about the manipulation and deception, and a statement from Caroline Callahan. My son was going through a difficult period and made poor choices. We hope the public understands that he was acting out of stress and not malice. He deeply regrets any harm caused. Nothing from Rhett. Maeve's phone rang. An unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. Miss Quinn, this is Veronica Park from Seattle Independent. We'd like to offer you $10,000 for an exclusive interview about your relationship with Rhett Callahan. Maeve hung up. It rang again immediately. Another reporter, then another. She turned off her phone and pulled the covers over her head. She'd destroyed him, destroyed them both. All because she'd been stupid enough to think a barista from Portland could survive in a billionaire's world. A knock at her door made her freeze. Maeve, I know you're in there. Rhett's voice rough with exhaustion. Please, just let me talk to you. She shouldn't open the door. Should let him leave, move on, save himself. But she opened it anyway. Rhett looked like he hadn't slept. His hair was a mess, his eyes were red-rimmed, and he was wearing jeans and a hoodie instead of his usual perfect suit. He looked more real than she'd ever seen him. I made my choice, he said quietly. Maeve's heart stopped. Rhett, I chose you. Seattle, Washington. Monday, 11:47 a.m. I chose you, Rhett repeated, stepping into Maeve's tiny apartment like he belonged there. You can't. Maeve's voice cracked. Your company, your mother, the media. I held a press conference an hour ago. He pulled out his phone, showing her a video already trending with millions of views. Want to watch? With shaking hands, Maeve pressed play. The video showed Rhett at a podium, facing a room full of reporters. He looked exhausted but determined, every inch the powerful CEO except for the vulnerability in his eyes. Good morning. I'm here to address the stories circulating about my personal life. Yes, my relationship with Maeve Quinn began as a contractual arrangement. My mother was pressuring me into an engagement I didn't want, and I made an impulsive, desperate choice to escape that pressure. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. Rhett held up a hand. But here's what those articles don't tell you. That contract became meaningless within weeks. I fell in love with Maeve, not the idea of her, not the convenience of her, but her talent, her strength, her refusal to be impressed by money or status. She challenged me to be better, to be real, to be myself instead of the person everyone expected. Maeve's vision blurred with tears. My mother and the Whitmore family orchestrated this exposure to manipulate me into ending my relationship. They wanted me to choose business over love, reputation over happiness, fear over courage. Rhett's voice grew stronger. So here's my choice. I choose Maeve. I choose love. I choose a life where I'm more than a CEO or a socialite son or a convenient business merger. The room erupted. Rhett continued over the noise. Effective immediately, I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations at Sterling Dynamics to focus on what actually matters. My COO will assume leadership while I remain as board chair. And to the Whitmores, if you want to sue me for breach of some imaginary contract, go ahead. My lawyers are ready, but leave Maeve out of this. She did nothing wrong except agree to help a stranger and have the misfortune of falling for him. He looked directly into the camera. Maeve, if you're watching this, I love you. I'm sorry I let my mother's manipulation hurt you. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder from the beginning. But I'm fighting now. Come back to me, please. The video ended. Maeve looked up at Rhett, who stood in her apartment looking terrified and hopeful in equal measure. You stepped back from your company, she whispered. I didn't build Sterling Dynamics to let it own me. I built it to have freedom. Time to actually use that freedom for something that matters. Your mother is furious. We had a conversation this morning that was years overdue. I told her that her controlling behavior ends now or she loses me entirely. Her choice. His jaw tightened. She's not happy, but she's beginning to understand I'm serious. The Whitmores. Their lawsuit threat evaporated once I made the public statement. Turns out they didn't want the publicity of looking like opportunistic social climbers. A ghost of a smile. Chelsea called me after the press conference. Maeve's heart clenched. Is she okay? She's hurt, angry, But she also said she saw the way I looked at you in that video, and she deserves someone who looks at her that way too. She's taking time away from Seattle, from her parents' pressure. She said to tell you she hopes we're happy, even if she's not ready to be friends yet. Tears streamed down Maeve's face. I never wanted to hurt her. I know. Rhett crossed the small space between them, cupping her face gently. But we can't live our lives trying to make everyone else happy. Sometimes you have to choose yourself. Choose love. Choose the person who makes you want to be brave. I was trying to protect you. I don't need protection. I need you. His thumb wiped away her tears. These past 24 hours without you were the worst of my life. I'd give up everything. The company, the money, all of it. If it meant I could have you. You don't have to give up everything, but I would. That's the point. You're not a business decision or a strategic choice. You're the person I want to wake up next to every morning. The person whose opinion I value more than any board member. The person who makes me laugh and calls me out and reminds me that life is more than quarterly reports. Maeve's heart felt like it might burst. I love you. So much. Then say you'll give us a real chance. No contract, no timeline, no arrangement. Just us figuring it out together. What if your mother never accepts me? Then she misses out on knowing the incredible woman I love. Her loss. What if the media never lets this go? Then we ignore them and live our lives anyway. What if I'm not good enough for your world? You're too good for my world. That's why I'm choosing yours. Rhett smiled. I've already put a down payment on a condo in Fremont. Nothing fancy, 2 bedrooms, normal building, no doorman. Thought maybe you'd want to move in with me. Eventually, no pressure. Maeve laughed through her tears. You bought a regular apartment? I want a regular life with you. Coffee in the morning, takeout for dinner, lazy Sundays where we don't do anything productive. I want simple and real and us. You're serious. Completely. I'm done performing for people who don't matter. I want to live for the person who does. Maeve kissed him then, desperate and relieved and full of love so big it scared her. When they broke apart, both breathless, Rhett rested his forehead against hers. Is that a yes? That's a yes to trying. Yes to us. Yes to seeing where this crazy thing goes. Yes to moving in eventually? Eventually. Let's start with dinner dates and meeting each other's friends and normal couple stuff first. I can do normal couple stuff. Can you, though? You literally held a press conference declaring your love. That was a one-time thing. Very dramatic. You love it. I really do. They stood in her tiny apartment holding each other, and Maeve felt something she'd never felt before. Absolute certainty. This was right. Messy and complicated and absolutely right. So what happens now? She asked. Now we live our lives. You work on your design career. I figure out what work-life balance actually means. We deal with my mother's disapproval and media attention and all the complicated stuff that comes with this. Sounds exhausting. Probably will be. Rhett pulled back to look at her. But we do it together. That's the difference. Together, Maeve repeated. For as long as you'll have me. That might be a very long time. I'm counting on it. 6 months later, the summer gala was exactly as pretentious as Maeve remembered from the articles she'd read about it. Crystal chandeliers, designer gowns, champagne fountains, and Seattle's elite congratulating themselves on their charitable donations. But this time, she wasn't performing. She was just attending an event with her boyfriend who'd spent the past 6 months proving every day that he'd meant what he said about choosing her. You look stunning, Rhett murmured, his hand warm on her back. She'd chosen a deep sapphire dress, elegant but still her style, and for once, she felt like she belonged. You clean up okay yourself? Just okay. Fine. You're devastatingly handsome. Happy? Very. They moved through the crowd, greeting people Maeve now knew, some friendly, some still skeptical, all curious about the couple that had caused Seattle's biggest scandal in years. Rhett, Maeve. Chelsea appeared radiant in a gold dress, accompanied by a handsome man with kind eyes. I want you to meet someone. This is James Chen. He's a photographer for National Geographic. The James Chen? Maeve recognized the name. Your wildlife series is incredible. James smiled warmly. Chelsea's been showing me your design work. The youth arts campaign is brilliant. Thank you. Maeve still got flustered by compliments about her work, even though her portfolio had landed 3 more clients in the past months. Chelsea pulled Maeve aside while the men talked. I owe you an apology. Chelsea, no. Yes, I was hurt and angry, and I said things that weren't fair. You and Rhett didn't set out to hurt me. And honestly, Chelsea glanced at James, a soft smile playing on her lips. I'm grateful. If you two hadn't forced me to see what my parents were really like, I never would have had the courage to break away, to pursue what I actually wanted instead of what they wanted, which is nonprofit work, real work that matters. I joined the board of the Youth Arts Foundation, using my family connections for something good instead of just social climbing. She squeezed Maeve's hand. And I met James at one of their events. Someone who likes me for me, not for my last name or my parents' business. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for both of us. We both got to choose our own paths. Chelsea smiled. Friends? Friends. Across the room, Caroline Callahan stood with a group of society women watching them. When she caught Maeve's eye, she didn't smile, but she gave a small, almost imperceptible nod. Progress. Slow, painful progress, but progress nonetheless. My mother's softening, Rhett said later as they swayed on the dance floor. Last week she asked about your design work. Actually asked, not interrogated. That's something. It's huge, for her. He pulled Maeve closer. She's beginning to understand that losing me entirely isn't worth her pride. And your company? You miss it? I miss parts of it. The innovation, the problem solving. But I don't miss the 80-hour weeks and the constant pressure to prove myself. He spun her gently. My COO is doing an incredible job. The board is happy. And I get to consult on the interesting projects while actually having a life. A life with me? The best life with you. Rhett's ice blue eyes held hers. I have something for you. It's not my birthday. It's our 6-month anniversary of when we went from fake to real. Close enough. He pulled a small box from his jacket pocket, and Maeve's heart stopped. Relax, he said, laughing softly. It's not a ring. Not yet. We're doing the normal couple thing, remember? But I wanted you to have this. Inside the box was a delicate silver bracelet with a small charm, a tiny coffee cup. For the barista who changed my life, Rhett said quietly. I had it engraved on the back. Maeve turned it over. The inscription read, From fake to forever, R. Forever? She whispered. If you'll have me. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. When we're ready. When it feels right. He fastened it around her wrist. No contracts, no arrangements, no timelines. Just a promise that I'm in this for the long haul. Maeve threw her arms around his neck, not caring that they were in the middle of a dance floor surrounded by Seattle's elite. I'm in this too, for however long it takes. Could be 50 years. I'm counting on it. They kissed, and somewhere in the crowd, Maeve heard a camera shutter click. Tomorrow there would probably be another article, another headline about the billionaire and the barista. But this time, Maeve didn't care. Let them write their stories. She was living hers. Epilogue 1 year later. Maeve stood in the doorway of her new office, a small but perfect space in a downtown building where she'd officially launched Quinn Design Studio. The walls were covered with her best work. The desk held her top-of-the-line computer, and the client list was growing steadily. Delivery for Maeve Quinn, a voice called. She turned to find Rhett holding a massive bouquet of wildflowers. Not roses, because he knew she preferred something less formal. What are these for? Your 1-year business anniversary. Seemed like a good reason to celebrate. You remembered? I remember everything about you. He set the flowers down and pulled her close. I'm so proud of you. Everything you've built, everything you've accomplished. You did this. You helped. I made an introduction. You did the rest. He kissed her forehead. So, I have a question. Another bracelet? Better. He pulled back, suddenly looking nervous. A rare sight on Rhett Callahan. Move in with me. For real this time. Full commitment, shared lease. Arguing about whose turn it is to do dishes. Maeve pretended to think about it. That condo in Fremont already has both our names on it. I added yours last month, just in case you said yes. Pretty presumptuous. Calculated risk. His hands settled on her waist. What do you say? I say yes to moving in, to arguing about dishes, to all of it. Yeah? Absolutely. Rhett's smile was brilliant and unguarded and completely real. I love you, Maeve Quinn. I love you too, Rhett Callahan. And as he kissed her in her new office, surrounded by the career she'd built and the life she'd chosen, Maeve thought about how far they'd come. From a fake kiss in a coffee shop to real love in the middle of her dream. From a desperate arrangement to a genuine partnership. From pretending to feel something to feeling everything. It hadn't been easy. There had been scandals and family drama and public scrutiny. There had been moments when walking away seemed easier than fighting through. But they'd chosen each other. Again and again and again. And that made all the difference. 2 years later. Final scene. The cafe was packed for a Saturday morning, but Maeve spotted him immediately. Rhett Callahan, sitting at her old favorite corner table in the Emerald Brew, wearing jeans and a casual sweater, looking more relaxed than the stressed CEO who'd first walked through these doors years ago. She slid into the seat across from him, accepting the oat milk latte he'd already ordered for her. "Remember the first time we were here?" she asked. "You mean when I was arrogant and you were sarcastic and I made the best impulsive decision of my life? That's the one. I remember thinking you were the most infuriating woman I'd ever met. And now I know you're the most infuriating woman I've ever met, but you're also the most talented, most genuine, most incredible person I know." He reached across the table, taking her hand. "And I want to spend the rest of my life being infuriated by you." Maeve's heart skipped. "Rhett." He pulled out a small velvet box, and this time it was definitely a ring. "Maeve Quinn, will you marry me? No contract, no arrangement, no timeline, just forever. Real, messy, complicated forever." The entire cafe went silent, watching. Maeve looked at the ring. Simple, elegant, exactly her style. Then at Rhett, whose ice-blue eyes held nothing but love and hope and absolute certainty. She thought about the barista who'd served a rude CEO coffee 3 years ago. She thought about the woman she'd become, confident, successful, loved. She thought about all the moments between then and now that had brought them here. And she smiled. Yes, absolutely yes. The cafe erupted in applause as Rhett slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her like they were the only 2 people in the world. Later, as they walked hand in hand through Seattle's streets, Maeve caught their reflection in a shop window. A billionaire and a barista turned designer. A fake arrangement turned real love. A impulsive kiss turned forever. "No regrets?" Rhett asked, following her gaze. Maeve laced her fingers through his, feeling the unfamiliar weight of the engagement ring, the familiar comfort of his presence. Not a single one. And she meant it. The end.